Hey guys, I'm back. I'm here for an intro. You can probably hear my voice. This winter is kicking my ass a little bit, but that's not going to stop what we're doing here. So, you'll see the same intro, the same, at the beginning anyway, of the first 4 Throwback Thursday videos, with a little bit at the end to tell you what's going on. I recently discovered some old videos, and I'm talking old, from the DocP channel. If you're familiar a little bit with the history, if you've been following me for a while, great. If you're kind of relatively new. So I originally started my channel in 2012 while I was deployed, looking for some advice from the world, doing some knife modifications, getting into the customization and stuff. In 2014, I kind of took a break from everything to focus more on military things that I had going on. I don't know exactly what happened, but my channel had just been deleted, erased. In 2015, I brought it all back, and I posted some of the older videos. I guess not all of the older videos got reposted back onto the new channel, and I found some of those videos. And so what I'm going to do for the next little bit is I'm going to have kind of a Throwback Thursday. And, normally I post my videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, as best as I can anyway. And every once in a while there's like a little bonus video here and there, as it comes up. But so for the next little bit, on Thursdays, we're going to do a Throwback Thursday. And I'm going to post one of these long-lost videos that I just found. They're different. My style has changed. I like to think that the video quality has improved. This all kind of works out pretty well, too, because lately a lot of folks have been asking if I was ever going to start showing, custom stuff again, and knife modifications, and, a lot of the custom work that I started the channel with. So, here comes some. Cool. Now, throughout all these videos, there might be some links in the video description to show you some of the other videos that they talk about or reference throughout, because they do reference some of the older videos that might still be on the channel. So make sure you check the video descriptions to see some of those if you want to kind of ping pong out to those things. Alright, so this next Throwback Thursday video is one that I really had a great time doing. I really like this one. So you got to remember that when this video was recorded, when I made this one, the world was not flooded with aftermarket Griptilian scale options, not like it is today. You couldn't just Google, and search for Griptilian scales. They were really hard to find. You had to get them custom made for you. Now there's a whole bunch of different options, but back then you had to contact somebody. There were 1 or 2 here or there. There was Wilkins. He made his. They're very expensive though. Excellent quality Wilkins grips, but I mean expensive. And maybe 1 or 2 others. But, if you didn't have a few $100s to spend, you had to get them custom made from somebody that was going to give you a good deal. I was trying really hard to find a good way to make a good solid Griptilian custom scale, but make it easier and faster, save people some money. And, well, this is, it's a great idea. I mean, the idea works. It still works. A lot of people were a little put off by the way that I came up with it, but I swear to God, it's a solid, rock solid idea. Swapping the steel liners for thick G10. But anyway, so here, you can check that out. It's a whole kind of start to finish customized Griptilian. So, bam.
Okay, everybody, I'm back, and I have kind of an experiment to do. And one of the things that I've gotten a couple messages on is that if you look back at my first videos, like way long ago, like when I was deployed, and now it's close to, what, 2 years ago? Yeah, anyway, the very first ones I did, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was making this up sort of as I went along, and they were sort of kind of like in progress type videos, like as I was making them. And there were some people who asked for me to revisit that whole idea, and like, hey, would you show us another project as it goes? And I wanted to come up with something good to do that. And at the same time, a lot of the work I've been doing lately is focused on Griptilians and G10 handles for them, because they're pretty popular. I decided that the subject of this experiment is going to be the 551T trainer blade that I have. We've looked at it in a previous video, talked about things that I might do with it, and I figured this is going to be a great platform to try this out. If it works, great. We'll have a new technique, and then I'll figure out what to do with the completed 551T. Some of the suggestions I got were give it to Aiden, kind of as his own next step up, big boy kind of practice knife, and I like that idea, but we'll see. Anyway, this is going to be the subject of the whole experiment. One of the reasons that Griptilian G10 handles are so expensive is just because of the sheer amount of work that goes into getting them done. So I want something that's easier for me to do, something that's less work, something that can translate to just as good a product, but something a little bit easier, quicker, cheaper to do. And I've been toying around with that idea. So in order to understand why it's so complicated to do these Griptilian handles, let's kind of take a look at everything you've got. First of all, you've got the blade, of course, and this is a 550 blade, and this one's about to be stone washed, but there. You've got your clip, 3 screws that hold that on. You've got 3 screws that hold the plastic handles together. These 2 screws that kind of anchor these metal liners into the plastic handles, you actually don't need them, believe it or not. If you have this thing put together well with these 3 screws and then with the pivot, these don't move and you don't really need those anchors, but whatever, personal choice. You've got your pivot, of course, and then these 2 pins for spacing go into the metal liners, and then this big guy up front actually acts as a stop pin over there to keep the blade where it is, although with the axis, you kind of don't need it. It's just like a dual safety. It works pretty well. You've got your 2 steel liners that fit inside. These 2 pieces right here, by the way, that is Duracoat on my fingernail, in case anybody's wondering. It's not all fungusy and stuff. This is what makes it such a pain in the ass, what makes it so complicated to do a G10 handled Griptilian. We'll come back to those. 2 bronze washers, of course, and then your axis lock assembly with the Omega springs and the lock piece itself. You've got these liners that go inside this plastic handle, and it fits flush. So if you're going to make a G10 handle, you need to mill out that area to make it fit nicely. And I have an example here. This is, there go screws. It's a Cuscati made G10 handle for Griptilian, and a little oily in there. Look at that. But do you see that milling all in there? But that's just so the spring can fit there and the axis lock can move. Okay. Then you've got the overall milling to hold that liner. What I want to do is find a way to avoid this, but still have a very strong, very well-built Griptilian scale. The reason that you need these liners in there, that it comes with it in the first place, is because when it's all assembled, like so, your axis lock then fits into this space right there. And it looks pretty complicated, but once you've done this a couple times, you can take these things apart, put them back together in your sleep. And then you'll have your pivot that goes through with the blade in the middle, and then your axis moves nice and neatly. And then this assembly is put inside the plastic scales. Here's what I'm coming up with, and this is what we're going to prove in the course of this experiment. I found some G10. It's actually classified not as handle material, but as liner material, spacer material. But it's G10, right? Just like any other G10. It's 0.06 inches thick, okay? So very sturdy, super sturdy. Not as thick as your standard handle scale. This is 1/8, for example. Okay. But, it's going to last you. Guess what I figured out? The width of these steel liners is exactly the width of this G10. So here's what I'm thinking. My first thought was to make it easier, besides just having to mill out, like straight in the middle of the G10 here, place the liner on there, trace around it, and then just cut that out, and then mount the whole piece onto there, right? And that way you have a perfect inset for your liners. But then I thought, why are we reinventing the wheel here? That's really complicated. So why not cut a piece of this liner material the size to match up with your G10 block and just drill holes, and that will become the steel liners. You won't need the steel liners. I'm telling you, this is sturdy as hell. This is not going to break. The only reason you have these liners in here is to hold all the mechanics. So here's the theory. I'm going to lay this onto there. I'm going to make sure that I trace the exact locations for the pivot, spacer number 1, spacer number 2. These holes you don't really need if you're not going to use those handles, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to drill a hole right here, and then I'm going to drill a series of holes, 1, 2, 3, and then just open it up with a routing bit, and that should give me the exact channel I need over there. Once I have that all done, I can then use this G10 as the liner. Here's what I picked out. I'm not entirely sure what I want to use. I know we're using this black because it's the only one in this thickness I have right now. Toying with the idea of red G10 scales. With this green, this is Taro Turf. This is, it's like a weird micarta and G10 had a baby, and it was this. I bought it. I wanted to experiment with it. I haven't used it yet, so I'm thinking this might be, for experimenting anyway, this might be a good use for it. 4, then I have a big old sheet of Moon Glow that I wanted to use, just because I haven't used it for anything. In any case, we're going to need to make a backspacer, and I have a block, just a scrap piece of black G10 that is the perfect width for a backspacer in a Griptilian. So I think it's going to look good either way, whether we use red, whether we use the green. I think it'll look nice. So in order to do this in a way that I can mount the camera somewhere where I could catch everything, I wasn't able to work where I normally do work. So I just took drill press here, moved it to our little screened-in porch area. Every Florida house has one. And I'm going to do the work here. It's not the most comfortable place, so I'll be not using all the tools I normally do. I'm going to be using mainly just the drill press and a Dremel, pretty much, and then different attachments. Anyway, first thing we need to do is cut out the liner material, and I've already measured 2 scales worth there. So I'm going to start with the Dremel. .218 inches. So let's see what we have that matches that in drill bit size. By the way, quick tip that I use sometimes: if I don't have calipers or anything to measure and I need to know what size drill bit to use for different screw sizes, and you got a set like this anyway, just take some out around the size you think it is, and then put the pin in the little hole where the drill bit went, and the smallest possible one where it fits, that's the one you're going to use. Aiden thinks it's so cool this thing has lasers for lining stuff up. He doesn't understand the difference between lasers and a laser gun. Alright, so with our scales still together and everything lined up, we can start landmarking for where we need to put all the holes. Now, I do not have a drill bit that is that small at all. The smallest one I have is still about double that size, so we'll have to come up with something really inventive for that. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but we'll worry about it then. Getting the next holes and cuts done right is going to be critical to getting this axis lock to function correctly, so I want to be really careful about this next part. And there you go. Back post, front post, anchor, axis lock. We just need to mount that tiny little hole. I got to find a really good way to do that. Well, it looks like it's working. Got some fine tuning to do because this is still a little bit rough in there. But in general, it really does look like this concept could work. So let me refine just a little bit, and we'll get back. Okay guys, little alibi here, little problem. So I was using what I totally believed was the right size G10. Things weren't fitting right, and it was just a little bit too wide, and I couldn't figure out why. Turns out that when I ordered the stuff, I had gotten one sheet the wrong size. I had some in 0.3, or 0.3, 0.6, 0.9. Well, I just kind of took them at their word that they sent the right thing. They sent 2 0.3s, so when I looked at it, I said this is too thin, and then I just looked for one size up, which was the 0.9. My fault. Should have done better fact checking. So I do have I have 2 scales in Ranger Green that is, I've confirmed, 0.6. So I'm going to go ahead and just drill the holes and everything again in these. I'll figure out something to do with this black stuff later on, but we're going to continue this project with the Ranger Green. Okay, so this time everything fits, axis moving nicely, okay, everything should be the right size, but moment of truth, let's put the blade in and see how everything works kind of together as one unit. Check that out, 0 blade play. It's not going to go all the way down because of the corners on the G10, but I think we've got success here. I really think this is going to work. I'm pretty happy. First thing I like to do is just cut off the excess so that I have less to grind over there. So I'm just going to start by taking off the rear quarter there, a little bit over there, the corners, stuff like that. I'm going to use 2 sets of these bolts and spacers to secure this whole thing together once it's all done. What's cool, since I'm not worried about the metal liners, I can pretty much put them anywhere I want as long as they're not going to interfere with where the blade's going to go. And you kind of are able to figure that out pretty easily. So I'm going to take a break from the grinding right now, and I'm going to put these spacers in so I can screw the whole thing together, and that way I can get rid of this clamp and have more freedom of movement around the whole thing. Took my best educated guess. I actually laid a regular blade up against there to hope that this will be a good clearance. We'll see when it's all done, but now this is going to hold it all together and I can go back to grinding. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so check it out. Just rough fitting here. And I went to a regular 550 blade instead of the trainer blade, just to make sure it all fit. And yeah, it's all going to fit perfectly. All right. Looking good. Looking very good. All right, so we're going to, just like we did for the inside liners, we're going to drill some consecutive holes for the axis, and then we're going to mill out the rest with the Dremel. Okay, then we'll go to work with the Dremel to even that all out. Alright, this next part is kind of a pain, but this is when we actually have to mill out the insides here to make room for that axis lock. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. I like to use a little round burr to start with, and then I'll just finish milling out with like a grinding bit on the end. But however you want to do it, this part's got to be done well or it won't work. Okay, so I got the milling on one side done. Got our liners assembled. Everything's in, sort of, kind of, but check this out. This is exciting. It's working. And I can't even tell you, just the absence of those two steel liners, this is already so much of a lighter knife. So we've still got plenty of work to do, but it's coming along perfect. Took a little bit of a dinner break, but making the back spacer right now. Gonna finish grinding that up and then get it all measured in and put some kind of gear pattern in the top there. And a nicely finished little back spacer to go in there. Alright, so let's get this thing all put together. Well, look at that. That's looking like a Griptilian. Now, I know the handles are still a little bit wide at this point, and that's okay because we still have to do a little bit of shaping and stuff. I'm going to put a little rock pattern in this. But, I mean, back spacer looks good. Everything looks really good. Smooth. I just need to contour that up and do some final refining, and it should be totally good to go. And we're going to call this experiment successful. So let me just get it all finished up. Pretty damn sweet, if I do say so myself. It's solid, you know? And it needs to be oiled up right now, so it's not going to do like a good super flow. Oh, there we go. Definitely a different feel to the axis flip with the Taro Tough, whatever it is. So what I need to do is just do some fine sanding and some oiling, and this bad boy is going to be all done, and we will have proven our experiment. All right, we are all done, and I'm a little bit tired, but so what I did off camera between last shot and now was I just took the whole thing down, scrubbed everything soap and water, just to get it all nice and clean, dry fitted it all back together when it all kind of went together really nice and easy. Then I took it all apart again, gave everything one last little wipe down, oiled it up, let it sit for a minute, wiped it down then, and put it all back together, complete with oil, you know, a little bit on the washers and all that stuff. And I gotta tell you, I really like it. So let's take a look. This is the Taro Tough, I can't remember. You know what, and the lighting in here sucks. I wish you could see the really nice green that this is. It's a really nice green. I don't know if it's just the background, or if I put something a little bit lighter under it, maybe you'll see the green a little bit better. Yeah, actually you can. Okay, so it's a nice rocky pattern, right? The Taro Tough is it's very light. Mostly, it's pretty much like micarta, except it's polyester instead of that phenolic resin. But it's got a grippiness to it anyway, you know, because of what it's made of. But this little rocky ridged pattern really helps too. So I'm in love with the color, really am. The color's awesome. I love it, and it makes me just want to see what the other colors are like. They have backspacer, very nice, very textured, right? So you're gonna get some good grip. I also, before I packed everything up, I just put a little bit of jimping in there because on your regular Griptilian, you've got just that little micro jimping, we'll call it, on the liners that we got rid of. And this thing is just, it is beautiful. Now, there's no clip, because honestly, I forgot to put a clip in and drill some holes and stuff, so whatever. That can be done easily if I want to do that later, or you just put a big lanyard hole in here, but right now, I love the look of it and everything. It's super smooth. I put it together a little bit tight, you know, just let it break in a little bit, so I'm not going to be able to do any cool axis lock flippies with it. But, I mean, it opens up like nothing. It's great. It's a little subdued with the noise, too, because of the materials it's made of. Very nice, clean look. Yeah? Yeah. All right. Got that back spacer in there. Super. I want to try it with different blades just to see what it would look like. If you could feel the weight difference between this traditional G10 Griptilian handle, and this is not even really heavy steel. This is 440C blade. This is an old blade. It's enormous. I mean, my brain wants me to say it weighs twice as much. I don't know. It's probably not that big, but huge difference. So as we were doing this, not only did we make it easier and faster to do, but here's one of the kind of unintentional side effect that turns out to be a huge benefit. Check this out. Not only have we saved ourselves tremendous amounts of time and energy and effort making these scales, which I gotta say, they look great. They look fantastic. Love them, love them, love them. But this was kind of the unintended, unexpected, but very beneficial side effect of losing these two liners. Check this out. All right, check this out. See that number over there? So, end result, not only do we end up with a gorgeous knife, I cannot tell you how happy I am with the way this looks. Just aesthetically, if nothing else mattered, winner. But it's a great knife. It feels good, a lot easier to make, and we've saved an ounce or more from our EDC weight for the day. So this is a win all the way around. So I'm really happy that I did this. Yeah, so that's it. I hope that those of you who wanted me to do another sort of full project in progress video are happy. If you all want to check in a couple days, I'll have some really good high quality pictures of this up on my Instagram. It's DocP91B on Instagram. So you can see some really good lighting finished versions of this thing in just a day or so. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. This video is long enough right now without me going into 5 minutes of what's coming up next. So there'll be another cool video coming out real soon, I promise. I'll see you guys all then.